sense to listen to you because I know that I'm an.
Hello, welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Prince Marajemu Alex. Today on Let's Talk, we are going to be looking at understanding teens parenting. Most of the crises we have with the teen is our ability to understand their behavior, our ability to actually make them understand our instruction. But most of the time they follow this order, and at the end of the day we think they are rebellious. Are they actually rebellious, or they're just trying to exploit their new age and their new world? These are most of the things we are going to be discussing in the studio this early morning. I want to just grab a bottle of Coke and your popcorn, sit back and relax while we exploit this wonderful topic. And with me in the studio to be actually dissecting this topic, she is a chartered banker, an entrepreneur, and most especially a parenting coach and a mentor. She is the founder Choice Step Empowerment Initiative, where they help teens and young adults make the right choices in life and take ownership of their life early enough. There are many things, wonderful things, but actually I think as we go on, we're going to discuss many things they do. It's going to be relating it to how you can actually handle your teen child, understanding teen crisis, and what parents should do. So you're very welcome to the program. Okay, I didn't even mention your name. Maybe her name is Kayo Mantilukoro. Mantilukoro.
You better learn how to pronounce that name.
Yeah. Are we?
Okay.
Okay, let's start now. How did I pronounce it very well?
Mantilukoro.
Mantilukoro.
Yes.
That was why it sounded like, I said it sounded like an English name. Manti.
Really?
Yeah, Manti. It's an English name. So Lukoro is a combination of maybe Yoruba and.
I hear you. I hear you.
Honestly, it's a combination. Yeah. First of all, let's look at what are teen crisis. Let's start picking up from there.
All right. As you introduced me, my name is Kayo Mantilukoro, and what we do in Choice Steps is to help teenagers to take ownership of their lives from an early stage, because it's important. What I've noticed about growing up is that people just go into life without realizing that your life itself is a basket of choices. The choice I make as I wake up in the morning, whether I want to get off my bed, is the first choice you make. It's a choice. So your life is full of a basket of choices.
And what you want to do when you wake up.
What you do when you wake up, whether you're going to brush your teeth or you decide to go out without brushing, it's a choice. So choices make our lives. So for young people to make the right choices early, before they go far in life, before life happens to them, it's important, and that's what we do. So when you talk about the teenagers, it's a very peculiar time in our lives, a very particular time, because it's a time where a lot of things change, emotionally, psychologically, physically, things are changing. It's a transition period from childhood to adulthood. So it's something in the middle. You are neither an adult nor a child. So a teenager wants to feel like an adult because he doesn't want you to address him as a child anymore. So there is already a crisis.
And the parents want to treat him like a child.
Like a child. So there's already a conflict. So the first crisis you have as a teenager is identity, the crisis of identity. Who am I? Who am I? Where do I belong? Am I a child? Am I an adult? Should I be treated like a child? No, I want to be treated like an adult. So in the first place, that's the first crisis you have with yourself. You have that crisis with the people around you, with your family, your immediate family. Then you have that crisis outside the family, the social crisis you have. How are people looking at you? Who am I? Your friends, your peer group, how do they view you? Those are the things that go on within a teenager. And those are actually the basic issues. WHO has actually, standardized it to say that these are the two crises that a teenager is in, identity and social crisis. Because actually they are baseline to many other things that happen in the life of a teenager. So a teenager wants to know his personality. He wants to discover who he is. Is he a quiet person? Is he an outgoing person? Usually when a teenager meets a friend, he wants to flow with the friend because he wants the friend to validate his personality. So he is not sure.
Validation.
Yes, he's not sure if is a quiet person, because this person is outgoing, is all talking, so he too wants to try to do it. But when he gets to his shell again, he looks at it, am I really this person? There's a conflict within him. So he continues to struggle with that within him. Emotionally, he is learning to mature. Emotionally, he is learning to move from that stage of childhood, to take decisions, to place himself, to identify his own what do you call it? He wants to know exactly his temperament. He wants to identify his temperament. He wants to know where he is in the society. So that is majorly the baseline of the crisis in a teenager's life, and it can get higher. By the time he doesn't handle that part very well, he now begins to get into little things, that the vices of this age that he cannot run out from. When a friend says you can have a drink, it helps you to discover yourself. And then he says, okay, let me give it a try. You can take a shot of this, it makes you to do this. You can sleep with a guy, it makes you more of a woman. You know, those are the things that he wants to use to define himself. Those are the battles in the heart of a teenager. And that's why we call it teen crisis.
Wow, interesting. Interesting. Actually, I wanted to ask, I think you have identified those areas. I wanted to ask you, is it about power control? Now, you mentioned he wants to be treated, or he or she want to be treated
like an adult.
But the parents also want to tell, oh, I know when I gave birth to you. How old are you? Are you still under my control? I can still talk to you. You guys said, no, I'm a big girl now. I'm a big boy now. I know what I want. Is it about power control from both ends?
From the parents to the child?
Yes.
You see, parenting in this age is beyond control and power. When you and I were growing up, our parents were more authoritative. Am I correct?
Very, very.
And when they say
not even authoritative, abusive. Let me use that word.
Let's give it to them. That word. Yeah, let's give it to them that not all of them
anyway.
Yes,
not all of them.
But they will always want you to follow an instruction. That's why it was
called a woman iron lady.
So we have identified that parenting styles can be in like 4 categories.
Okay.
The most common one that we see around is the authoritative. That is what, do as I have said. This is my instruction, follow it. And we have found out that the teenagers of today, the young people of today, there's something we call the Generation Z and the Alpha generation. These are children.
Alpha generation.
Yes, the children that were born from maybe 1990 thereabout, they are Generation Z, and those that were born in 2010 thereabout, they are the Alpha generation. So those ones are actually the ones that are entering into their teens right now. Raising these children is different from when they raised you and I. We were Generation X, right? It's different. You don't just say, when you tell my child, don't wear these spectacles, he will ask you why. They are not trying to flaunt your orders. They want to know exactly, give me the reason, discuss with me. So that has led us into democratic parenting, autocratic parenting, where you can discuss, where you can actually have a discussion with your child, not control your child. Now, we have the duty to lead them, to guide them. Even the good book says, train a child the way he should go, and he will not depart from it. It's our duty as parents. But the truth of the matter is that duty in this generation can only be fulfilled if you can reach the children. You can't just boss it on them. You agree with me that some of the teenagers that grew in our own age turned out to be people that their parents never knew exactly who they were.
Yes.
They will be at home and be good girls and boys.
There's something else, but when they get out
in fact,
maybe in the school environment.
Yes, some parents will never imagine what their children could do. That's because they just do what you want them to do. Okay. They hide their personality.
This is who you want me to be in the house, in your presence, fine.
But with autocratic and democratic parenting, you are able to connect with your child. You bring out the person in him. You relate with the person. You discuss issues. You let him know why you are doing this. This is why I said you should not do this. If you do this, this is what comes out of it. He sees reason with you. It gives you a chance to appeal to his own maturity, sense of maturity too. Because you are leading him, you are training him to be mature, to think maturely. So that's what is recommended actually, because if we continue to do the
the way we were raised,
what we were raised,
because if I said don't take this pen, you dare not take that pen, because you know the consequences.
Yes.
You're going to be beaten, or you're going to be called all sorts of names. You're going to be verbally abused, physically abused, all sorts of abuse. But the children of these days, my son of about 7 years old, noticed one thing, that I moved to his room because they were having flu actually.
Okay.
So my wife said they want to lock everywhere. I said I can't sleep under that condition. I need air. I need fan. So since AC will not be on, let me go to his room where I can use fan. So first day, second day, he came to me, he asked me, Daddy, why are you sleeping in my room? Why did
there's always a why. In this generation, there's always a why.
Why did you leave your room to be sleeping in my room? And I looked at him. When I was in his age, I dare not ask
your question. Who you be?
You dare not ask us questions. First of all, we tell you in my own house, you're questioning. But I have to take out my time to explain. Why? He said, oh, okay, that's fine.
Let me add to it. What it also does to the child is that when you are not there, he sees reason for doing things the way you have taught him. If you are not there and all you have done is follow my instructions, it's easier for him when you are not watching to do the wrong things. But when you are not watching and you have discussed and he understands, when you are not watching, he knows why he shouldn't do it. So when his friend is offering him something he should not take, he knows why he should not take it. Not because, I remember when I was a child, my mom told me that my elder sister, who is 9 years older than me, they told her that it was chewing gum, that killed my grandparents. So they told her never to chew gum. And she never chewed gum. In Lagos, all through her secondary school, she never chewed gum. So when they told me the same thing, that I should not chew gum, that it killed my grandmother, I asked and said, how does the gum kill people? Explain to me. So you can imagine if my generation could ask that question. The alpha generation, we tell you authoritatively that gum cannot kill.
Cannot kill.
Yes. So when he's out there, if he has obeyed you that I will not chew gum at home, when he's out there, he will probably go and try chewing gum to see whether
how the chew gum will kill somebody.
Do you understand? So it also helps them to have a confidence in themselves, self-esteem. It helps them to build self-esteem, to be confident of their personality. They know exactly why they are not doing what they are not doing. So when they are offered all the wrong things in the society, they can stand up and say no.
Well, I think I'm enjoying this conversation.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying this conversation because actually, if you have a very good communication with your child, and somebody else should tell your child to do something he doesn't want to do, he will be able to ask questions. For instance, say, oh, if you take this alcohol, it will make you to become a man. How and why? I want to know, because I have that ability to ask my parents at home, whatever they are. Why do you say I should do it? Now, why should I take alcohol to make me a man? Why should I prostitute or sleep with a man to make me a grown-up woman? Explain to me. So I think, yeah, we're actually having this conversation. Now, let me say, parents find it difficult mostly at that teen age between the 13 and the 19. That is actually where the crisis we are talking about.
Yes.
Many parents are not prepared for that age. Maybe they celebrate the birthday to the 13, and they started observing some certain rebellious behavior. Let me use that word in quotes. Some certain rebellious behavior, and they are confused. Should that be a preparation from the onset down to the age of teenagers, then afterward? What should parents do?
Valid question. I've often said that when you go in the society, in churches, wherever you go, people prepare for marriage, but people don't prepare for parenting.
For parenting.
You go for marriage counseling, you enter this thing.
But we parent by default.
That's what we're saying. It's not a default. We are expecting it. We know that it's going to happen. So why don't we prepare for it? We prepare to get married. We fix the dates. We prepare to get married. So parenting, we assume that the moment you get married, don't they ask you after 9 months, how far, madam, don't? Is it not true? So it doesn't come suddenly. But because we actually we are not intentional about it. What I'm saying is that parenting is something that we should intentionally prepare for. Prepare for parenting, even to parent a 0-year-old child, prepare for it. A 1-year-old child, prepare for it. Now, there's something we call the preteen years. That's from maybe like age 7 or 8 before the teenage years.
Teenage years.
Now, the children from that period already have some of the characteristics of a teenager. They are all, especially in this age where information is everywhere. They have phones, they have TV. In your days, it was NTA you were watching.
Even the NTA, you don't
It's
have the privilege of
4 o'clock.
watching. You don't even have the privilege. When adults are watching NTA, you go inside. You don't.
Exactly.
You dare not say I want to, because I did. Yeah, there were Tom and Jerry, but you dare not come and say I want to
No,
watch.
it come up at 4 and they give you time. It's maybe between 4 and 6. By 6 they are watching Wazobia news and all
not the
sorts.
rest of it. So it's
you're
not
out of the living room. But you know, today a child has a telephone set that can see the world. Information is abounding. So therefore, it's important that parents too need to hike their game. It's not business as usual. There is something that there's an acronym I like to give. I call it DEEP. You need to have deep parenting. The D stands for discipleship. The E stands for empathize. The other E stands for example, be an example. And the P stands for pray. So discipleship, why I call it discipleship but I don't call it discipline, is because actually that word it originates from the word disciple.
Discipline. Okay.
We see discipline as beating, shouting.
Because whenever we mention, if you mention discipline to me right now, the first thing that comes to my mind is that word.
That's what
either
we all
to
say.
yell,
scold the child, yell at a child,
beat the child. That is what discipline means to us.
But
in the
it's
context.
just a part of discipleship. Discipleship is thoroughly mentoring, leading, coaching the child. So your life as a parent is actually supposed to be, your place is supposed to be the place of a discipler. You disciple your child, you mentor your child, and that's where relationship comes in. You can't mentor somebody you don't have a relationship with. So relationship is key. You start to prepare by developing a relationship with your child before he hits the teen years. And if you are just hearing this and you already have teenager, it's not a bad time to start. Disciple your teenager, because in the place of discipleship, you are able to connect. You're able to hear his views. You're able to straighten his views. You're able to shape on his views before he will hear it from the next person out there. Then the other part of it is empathy. I always tell parents, you have forgotten you were a teenager. We should ask your parents how you were as a teenager. I wish your parents were here now. I'll say, how was Alex when he was a teenager? They will be able to tell us. And yet you are expecting your own teenager to be, boom, exactly what you want him to be. No. So empathize with your teenager. It's something you need to do to learn to prepare for your teenage child. Empathize. I was in these shoes. How did I live? What were my weaknesses? What were my strengths? What were my challenges? What were my crises like? What were the things that I needed somebody to support me with? What were the things I needed somebody to be there for me for? Where were my down times? Can you relate with it? If you put yourself in the place of that child, you'll be able to connect with the child better. The next thing is example. Be an example. Be a role model. It is not parenting by do as I say.
I think that reminds me of something. Like, I'm this kind of person. I don't know where I got it from. If I'm going out, I don't even tell my wife I'm going out. Not my wife. Let me use from the onset. Maybe the way I was raised. We could just be talking. I just pick up my shirt. I'm gone.
And you're gone.
And maybe if you call me, where are you? Oh, maybe I have got you to Wuse or something. I'm just
Can
there.
you imagine?
I didn't. It's not. Well, I will use the word.
It wasn't intended
to be, but I just find myself like that. So one day my son challenged me, Daddy, you're always going out. You don't tell us where you're going to. You don't tell me you are going out.
Can you imagine?
And you don't tell mommy you are going out. You don't tell. I was shocked.
You see?
And funny enough, there was nobody I hope that will I say, okay, maybe it was a mommy who asked him to go
to come and accost you.
Daddy, when you're going out, you tell me you're going out. You tell me where you're going to. Said, okay.
That is why parenting is by example, because they are watching you. Your teenager, your child actually takes more of the traits that he sees more than the ones he hears of. He's looking at you, he's studying you. We did a Boys to Men series last year, and I was sharing that a little boy told his mom that I can't wait to be a man. And the mother said, why? I want to have a pot belly like daddy. Because he just sees it and he likes a pot belly. He doesn't know where it came from. He doesn't know whether it's good or not. What I'm saying is what he sees most. If you say don't drink and you are sipping a little here and there, he will not listen to you automatically. He has already formed an opinion within him. If you say don't do this, he will rather watch you to see whether you do it or not. Your children would have accosted you many times. I have a friend that said his son told him that don't talk to your wife like that. You don't talk to a woman like that. And he was stunned. He looked at his son of maybe 6 years old and he's like, taught you that? You know, because the young man is watching. So every child, every teenager is watching. So be an example. Be a role model. Let them begin to see things that will make them better and balanced adults. My P is pray, because I believe strongly in God, and I know that the God factor is very key in life. And I don't mean only pray for them. I mean pray for them, pray with them, and let them pray for themselves. I'll say pray for them because it's your duty as a parent. Pray with them because it makes them understand that you care. Let them pray for themselves because it gives them ownership of their lives.
To be independent.
Yes, they are responsible. They understand that their lives is a responsibility. They themselves need to do it for themselves. A man in the Bible called Job continued to pray. He continued to pray for his children. He offered sacrifices for his children. Meanwhile, the children were busy partying and having fun. At the end of the day, they caused him sorrow. Let them pray for themselves. Let them have ownership of their own faith, so that they will also, when you are not there, be doing the right things. That's deep. Deep parenting is important.
Okay, I want to ask you this question. It's part of what you do. You say we direct on career choices and entrepreneurial opportunities available to them. I think this is where most parents have issues with children. Okay. I'm a lawyer. I want my child to become a lawyer. Even if he doesn't have a flair of becoming a lawyer. I'm a doctor. I want my child to become a doctor, even if he doesn't have a flair to becoming a doctor. Or rather, my neighbor's child is reading law, so it has become competitive. You must be a lawyer also, so I want to be a mama lawyer or a daddy lawyer or something like that. Where are these boys just have a flair for arts, for what they call it, for art, okay, graphics, art, and all the rest of it. But you want this child to be a lawyer because you want this child, maybe, oh, I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't have the opportunity, so you should be a lawyer. These are the crises that many people do. They have their academics, they perform poorly because you push them to do what they don't have the natural tendency or the natural flair to do. Sure. So how can we begin to curb this so that let children be who they naturally want to be? If they see you being a lawyer, they admire you becoming a lawyer, they want to become a lawyer, to me that is fine. But pushing them to be because maybe you didn't have the opportunity to be, or because your neighbor is, or because in your lineage there is no lawyer, so you want to raise one now. How can we be able to actually navigate through this thing so that to stop causing the conflict that is causing within the academic circle?
You see, this is why we do talks with parents and teachers. We have time with parents and teachers because we want people to understand that you are the greatest influencers of the teenager. You are the ones that help him decide what to do with his life. So you need to be careful what you're doing as well. I don't have to make my future out of my child. The future I wanted that I never got.
Make the future out of your child.
You don't have to make it out of your child because that child is an individual. That child is an individual on his own. And that's why parenting relationship is important. Because while you are interacting with your child, you already know who he is. You discover his strengths. you discover his weaknesses, you discover his abilities, you discover his skills. So if you do that, you will know when your child is supposed to be a lawyer, when he's supposed to be a doctor. You know what is
by
observation, by relationship. So when the child is now making decisions in life, you can only direct. That's what we should actually do. There are many children that went to school. I know of somebody that went to school, medical school, spent all the years and all the money. And what he does now, he sells rice in a warehouse.
And he's making money.
And he's making cool money. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying everybody should be turned to a businesswoman or a market woman. But I'm saying there's something in that child that stands out. Help him discover it. Help him balance it. If he has to do one or two, I know of a child that is studying biochemistry and wants to be a chef. And she's in school because her parents said, no, you need to do something in the science field and all of that. But she wants to be a chef. So I've advised her, you can do courses on what you want to do, side by side with your schooling. You know, manage your time, and you can come out with double honors. By the time you are done in school and you're having your certificate, your bachelor's degree, you also have your certificate to be a chef, and you can work everywhere. So what we should do is to encourage them, advise them, guide them to bring out the best in them and guide them appropriately. We shouldn't enforce our dreams on them. Our children.
Now, before I go, actually, we don't have much time. Honestly, there is something about depression in teens. What signs should parents look at for depression in teens before we round up?
This is a very valid issue, and it's something that is eating so deep in our society. And because parents are not watching, they are not intentional. You see a child that is always in his room, he's not talking to anybody, he wants to go out, two opposites, he wants to go out every time. Some of these things are signs of depression. When a child is having problem in school and nobody is there to listen, he's having problem with friends, nobody is there to listen, he gradually draws to himself and he feels that the whole world is on me. And unfortunately, we have raised children that are not resilient, children that don't know how to face the troubles of life in this generation. And it's something that we should actually learn to do. We should teach our children to be resilient so that when issues are coming, they know how to handle it. So depression is something that there's no two way about it, because the reaction of children is different. Some people, when they are in depression, you see them eating a lot, drinking alcohol, and you see some keeping to themselves. But as a parent, you know your child's natural behavior. The moment he begins to do anything outside his natural behavior, you should be on the lookout. Something is wrong. Be a friend and call him closer. What's the problem? You need to appeal to his own. Another thing is what we say to our children. There's no time. There's a think, feel, and act ideology that happens to us. The information we feed our children. Some children, you tell them, oh, you're not doing well, you're a failure, you're this, you're that. It builds into them. They start having feelings of rejection. They have feelings of they don't feel valuable. They don't feel, they have low self-esteem. It's sinking into them. And then when they start acting out, it is the action you are now seeing. Maybe you now start going out at odd hours, taking alcohol, hanging out with the wrong guys. That's the action. By the time you are seeing that, the problem started a long time ago. So we should be more sensitive as parents to know the moment you discover your child and you now see that, oh, he's not exactly who he used to be. You should stand up to it and call that relationship back and be friends. You don't have to talk seriously like me and you are doing now. You can take him out. You can do something nice, something he would like to do. If he likes to watch football, let's go watch football. If he likes to go to cinema, let's go and watch cinema.
You're involved in his life now.
Yes, be involved in his life and then get into it so that you can also know exactly what the state of his mind is. The mental health of a child is very vital, it's very important, and as parents, it's something that is our duty to discover and also help them to go through.
Wow, honestly, very wonderful and interesting conversation. I wish we have more time.
I wish.